Roll call.
Palermo. Festerson.
Here.
Harding.
Here.
Jerem.
Here.
Melton. Pauls. Mr. President.
Here. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for remarks today by Council Member Brinker Harding. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'll keep it brief, but very important. Just want to wish all, it's a very important week for many religions, so I want to wish everyone a happy Easter and happy Passover.
An affidavit of publication is on file for the pre-council and city council meeting, and a current copy of the Open Meeting Act is posted in a white binder on the east wall of the legislative chambers.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this meeting of the Omaha City Council. The council does thank you for being here today. As a courtesy to those in attendance, we would ask you to turn off or mute any of your electronic devices. Madam Clerk.
Item 6, an ordinance to approve a major amendment to a PUD overlay district located northeast of 27th and Cummings Streets, and to approve the development plan. Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda item number 6 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, are there any opponents? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Moved and seconded to approve item 6. No lights. Roll call.
Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Melton. Pauls. Mr. President.
Yes.
Item 6 is approved, 7-0. Item 7, an ordinance to rezone property located at 1256 South 13th Street from GI District to MBD District. Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval.
Public hearing on agenda item number 7 is today. Proponents, please. Seeing none, are there any opponents? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Second, no lights. Roll call.
Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Melton. Pauls. Mr. President.
Yes.
Item 7 is approved, 7-0. Items 8 to 10 relate to the same project and can be considered together for property located at 252nd and Blondo Streets. Planning Board and Planning Department recommend approval. Item 8, an ordinance to rezone this property from AG District and DR District to AG District. Item 9, an ordinance to rezone this property from AG District and DR District to DR District. Item 10, a resolution to approve a special use permit to allow agricultural sales and service in an AG district.
Public hearing on agenda items numbers 8 through 10 are today. Proponents, please.
Afternoon, Jason Thielen, E&A Consulting Group, 10909 Mill Valley Road, here on behalf of the applicant for a change of zone and a special use permit at this location. This little piece of property here in red is what we are rezoning as part of the plat that's already been actually recorded at this time. There's a long backstory. If we need to get into that, I'm more than happy to do that. This is the current plat as it sits today, recorded, and that piece of property is what's within that plat and needs to be rezoned back to AG, so it's part of one parcel to be purchased by my client for the special use permit, Walk Up Woods. This is a business that basically goes down, takes down trees and brush and things, brings it back to this location and chips it and sells it as a wholesale product. There's existing buildings here he's going into, and he's going through and having all the proper permitting and things in place as well. We'll set up an office, go through and make sure that we've got everything in place at this location. A couple ideas of what this building might look like. There'll be some stone located around that as well. That would be more like, this picture here. With that, I'd ask for your approval for a change of zone and special use permit, and I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Moved and seconded to approve items 8 through 10. There are no lights. Roll call.
Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Melton. Pauls. Mr. President.
Yes.
8 through 10 are approved, 7-0. Item 11, an application to consider a Class C liquor license for Stoley's Lounge located at 715 North 120th Street.
Public hearing on agenda item number 11 is today. Proponents, please.
Good afternoon, President and other council members. Ben Pick for, of Pansing Hogan Ernst and Bachman on behalf of the applicant, M&T Stoley's LLC.
Thank you. You're just here to answer any questions.
Sorry,
you might have. Thank you.
yes, here to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Yes.
Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Moved and seconded to approve item 11. No lights. Roll call.
Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Melton. Pauls. Mr. President.
Yes.
Item 11 is approved, 7-0. Item 12, an application to consider a Class I liquor license for Gardens by Kim located at 4915 Underwood Avenue, number 1.
Public hearing on agenda item number 12 is today. Proponents, please.
President and all others present. My name is Kim Kneifel, and I am the owner of Gardens by Kim, and I'm just basically here to answer any questions.
Okay. Any address for the record, please?
4915 Underwood Avenue.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Mr. Festerson.
Thanks, Mr. President. Kim, if you would, just a question for you. Thank you. Thanks for being here. So relatively new concept, I think, right? So this is a building in Dundee on the east side, right in the business district, correct? Uh-huh. And so your business is on the first floor?
My business is on the first floor. It's mixed use, so above is somebody, a tenant living, and below the same thing. So
Okay. And it's a landscape architecture company that you have?
I have a master's of landscape architecture. I'm not registered with the state, so I do more design, environmental planning, and things of that nature. And the whole point of this is I'm trying to diversify my business and roll into more potting parties, so kind of like your paint and sip idea. There would only be, the liquor license would only be used for those parties, not anything that's in, like a pop-up party or anything of that sort. So
Okay.
basically, as I get older and I can't work in the garden as much, I'm looking for diversification.
I
So
see.
it is a little different.
So it's more for private parties?
Correct.
And plantings and fun things to do at the same time?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah,
Well, welcome there, and I hope it goes well for you.
I hope so too. Thank you.
Thanks. Motion to approve.
Second. Roll call.
Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Melton. Pauls. Mr. President.
Yes.
Item 12 is approved, 7-0. Item 13, an application to consider a Class IK liquor license for Carrabba's Italian Grill located at 14520 West Maple Road.
Public hearing on agenda item number 13 is today. Proponents, please.
Hi, I'm Melissa Beach, the managing partner of Carrabba's Italian Grill,
Address for the record, please.
14520 West Maple Road.
Thank you. And you're just here to answer any questions we might have?
Yes.
If we have any, thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Moved and seconded to approve item 13. No lights. Roll call.
Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Melton. Pauls. Mr. President.
Yes.
Item 13 is approved, 7-0. Item 14, an application to consider a Class I liquor license for the Corner Kick located at 13806 P Street.
Public hearing on agenda item number 14 is today. Proponents, please.
Paul McCray, Rachel McCray, 17057 Weir Street, Omaha.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be? Did you all want to make a statement? I'm sorry.
Just here to answer questions.
Okay. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Moved and seconded to approve item 14. No lights. Roll call.
Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Melton. Pauls. Mr. President.
Yes.
Item 14 is approved, 7-0. Item 15, an application to consider a Class D liquor license for Mega Saver located at 2505 Abbott Drive Plaza.
Public hearing on agenda item number 15 is today. Proponents, please.
Hi, I'm Kamal Samiev, Vice President with TFL Mega Saver, 2505 Abbott Plaza. I'm here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything or not.
Tabitha Rodenbow, Marketing Coordinator with TFL Mega
Okay.
Saver.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Moved and seconded to approve item 15. No lights. Roll call.
Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem.
Yes.
Melton. Pauls. Mr. President.
Yes.
Item 15 is approved, 7-0. Item 16, an application for an addition to Acadian Grills Class I liquor license located at 725 North 114th Street to add an outdoor area approximately 15 feet by 11 feet to the west.
Public hearing on agenda item number 16 is today. Proponents, please.
Hi, Dan O'Brien, Acadian Grill, 725 North 114th Street. Just here to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Second, roll call.
Palermo. Festerson. Harding. Jerem. Melton. Pauls. Mr. President.
Yes.
Item 16 is approved, 7-0. Item 17, an application for an addition to Horseman's Park Class CK liquor license located at 6303 Q Street to add the infield outdoor area approximately 1,480 feet by 680 feet to the southwest.
Public hearing on agenda item number 17 is today. Proponents, please.
Mr. President, members of the council, Mike Kelly, 2804 South 87th Avenue. Premier Mike Newland from Horseman's Park is also here. This is an addition to the outdoor area. It's the infield of the racetrack. That used to be licensed also at Exarban years ago. As you may know, Horseman's Park is becoming more of a destination for concerts, also beer festivals, that type of thing. While the SDL system works, sometimes you get a request for something, say, within 2 weeks, and the SDLs just don't work. So they decided to go ahead and do, to add on the entire infield, which would basically be seasonal in the summertime. Originally, we were only going to do half of it. State Patrol said, why don't you just do the whole thing? So we said, okay, we don't want to disagree with State Patrol, so that's why the whole thing is done. And again, Mike's here if you have any questions, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Moving and seconded to approve item 17. No lights. Roll call.
Palermo. Festerson. Harding. Jerem. Melton. Pauls. Mr. President.
Yes.
Jerem. Councilmember Jerem passed due to a potential conflict of interest. Item 17 is approved, 6-0. Consent agenda. Any member of the city council may cause any item placed on the consent agenda to be removed. Items removed from the consent agenda shall be taken up by the city council immediately following the consent agenda in the order in which they were removed, unless otherwise provided by the city council rules of order.
Public hearing on agenda items numbers 18 and 19 were held on April 9th, 2019.
Motion approved.
Moving and seconded to approve items 18 and 19. No further lights. Roll call.
Palermo. Festerson. Harding. Jerem. Melton. Pauls. Mr. President.
Yes.
18 and 19 are approved, 7-0.
The public hearing on agenda items numbers 20 through 30 are today. If you wish to address the city council regarding these items, please come to the microphone, indicate the agenda item number you wish to address, identify yourself by your name, address, who you represent, and if you are a proponent or an opponent.
Hello, Council. Mark Von Drostick, 211 North 37th Street. I'd like to talk about number 24. It's an ordinance, I think, going into the land bank to provide some housing, going to be building some single-family housing. I'm just curious, I see a lot of land bank activity where we're building single-family housing in North Omaha, and I'm just curious as to why there's never any multi-unit or like apartments being built, 3, 4-bedroom apartments, things like that. It always seems to be single-family housing. And as one of the few instances of city-led development in the city versus private development, I'm just curious as to why it seems to only be single-family housing. Thank you.
Thank you. I can answer that for you afterwards if you don't mind, okay? Anything else on our agenda items numbers 20 through 30?
Larry Store, 5015 Lafayette Avenue, Omaha, 68132. I am opposing number 24 and probably also number 30. But I'm submitting a letter today. I have merged two boards together here, the City Council and the Douglas County Board, because we often hear them talking about the same things or voting on the same things. So the same letter goes to both. I won't read the Douglas County Board part of it to you. I'll just go through the City Council one. but I want to start off with saying that since both bodies do things jointly, I offer this letter for inclusion into your hearings, my testimony and speeches, or whoever's speeches, to sum up the citizens' and taxpayers' comments, whatever you classify them as, and point out that both bodies tend to lack conversation on topics that not being constitutional in either the federal or state constitution, and not within the intent of the Open Meetings Act as I read it on the state website. Your rules are your rules, but they're supposed to be reasonable rules. When the rules are different between both bodies and seem to be different at different times, maybe those rules aren't terribly reasonable within the meaning of that body, the intent of that body, that law, which is an intent to let the citizens have input, to be able to address their representatives and get input back, which doesn't happen. TIF is one of those. And we often have to sit here and listen to character assassinations of so-called slum landlords. That's not within the intent of civic duty. We shouldn't have to hear that. I often watch the videos of the meetings. Last week, I
Larry,
watched...
excuse me, Mr. Story, your comments are on 24 and 30. Stick to 24
Yeah.
and 30.
Okay. That's exactly why I sent the letter, Mr. Gray. I think you're shutting down the citizens is the reason that you should resign. And if not, then I guess I'll help push for a term limit on things to stop this.
Mr. Story, 24
Excuse me.
or 30,
Thank
or
you.
sit down, please. Thank you. Public hearing is closed. Mr. Harding?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to note if Mr. Cohen is here, if anyone had any questions on item number 30, he's here to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Sure. My pleasure.
No, you're not going to get up again. No, you're not going to get up again. Have a seat, Mr. Storer. Have a seat, Mr. Storer. He's out of order. Now, you have a seat. Moved and seconded to approve items 20 through 30. There are no further lights. Roll call.
Palermo. Festerson.
Yes.
Harding. Jerem. Melton. Pauls. Mr. President.
Yes.
20 through 30 are approved, 7-0. Item 31, an ordinance levying a special tax and assessment on certain lots, parts of lots, and pieces of real estate in the city of Omaha to cover the cost of constructing sidewalks and sidewalk repair, group number 2018-01.
Public hearing agenda item number 31 is today. Proponents, please.
Robert Boyd, City of Omaha, to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, are there any opponents who wish to be heard? Seeing none, public hearing is closed.
Non-action items, items 32 through 60, do not require public hearing or city council consideration at this meeting, but will be placed on a future agenda for public hearing and/or vote. The reason for non-action is noted after the item on the agenda, as well as the date the item is expected to appear on the agenda for consideration.
The motion adjourned? Motion adjourned. Second, roll call.
Palermo. Festerson. Harding. Jerem. Melton. Pauls. Mr. President.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0. Meeting is adjourned at 2:18.